Welcome to the PBL Simplified podcast. Today I'm giving you 3 steps to a perfect community partner breakfast. We've done these before. We know how to do it. We know how to build your community partner list for your district. There is a process and we know it works. You've tuned into the PBL Simplified podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Stoyer, the Chief Inspiration Officer here at Magnify Learning, and I'm here for movement makers just like you. We want to help you start your PBL movement. We want to help you grow your PBL movement. We want to help you sustain your PBL movement. Our vision is that in 3 years of working with us, you don't need us anymore in a sustained fashion. We'll stay connected, we'll get you resources and those kind of things. But after 3 years, you have PBL certified teachers on your staff. You're training your new hires. You're bringing innovation. Your coaches know where to coach, because they can do a needs assessment for you. They can figure out what the right thing to do is. Your leadership team is guiding you. Every 3 years, you're adjusting that 3-year plan. And after 3 years, it's gravy. You might be a model school for us, and we're going to bring schools to you to see maybe their great community partner breakfast that you're holding because you watched this episode or you're listening to this episode. And you've got it down. You've got community partners coming into your district. K-12, you've always got somebody that's at the ready to be an authentic audience. You've got a biologist, you've got somebody from DNR, you've got somebody from the local children's museum, you've got somebody that's a first responder that comes in. You've got a community out there that is supporting your school because you've given them an on-ramp to do so. So what are the 3 keys to a perfect community partner breakfast? Before we get into the first 3, we've got to talk about the why. We always bring the why to the forefront at Magnify Learning. It's super important because our work is not easy. It's important. So we need as much why as we can around here to keep us going. It's like motivation biscuits, right? You got to keep eating them to keep going. Zig Ziglar says that, he says, some people say motivation doesn't last, Zig. And he says, right, staying clean doesn't either. So just like we recommend that you bathe daily, we recommend that motivation comes daily. And hopefully this podcast and our YouTube channel is helping to do that for you. It's keeping you fired up. But what's your why for a community partner breakfast? Your why is that you want the real world in your school. You want community partners that have the jobs, the positions that you want your learners to know about and to have are coming into your school. Your kindergartners are talking to a chef or an engineer. Your seniors, your juniors and seniors are presenting senior projects, or maybe they're doing an internship at a local industry partner so they know what it looks like. They're talking to a pharmacist so that they know, I don't want to be a pharmacist, right? I know of a kid that went to Purdue that got a pharmacy degree and then found out that he hated being a pharmacist. Well, that's an $80,000 mistake, right? Like, we need our kids to have some experience before they have to pick. They need to have experiences, failures and wins with us in a safe environment, in our K-12 environment, before they're picking majors, before they're committing to a particular path. And they're going to get both sides. They're going to say, man, I really enjoyed this work, and I enjoyed talking to that nurse, or I enjoyed talking to the first responder. That's work I want to do. Or it's work I don't want to do. I'm going to cross it off the list. So you probably have a long list of your why for a community partner breakfast. And you should actually write this out because it's important to have that and communicate that with your staff. But what we really want to do is we want to flip the script on that a little bit. Because for the perfect community partner breakfast, your community partners need to know why they're coming. So what's their why? Now, the first thing you would do if you're really good at this is you would find a close community partner. You're going to run this all by them after you've taken some notes on this podcast, and you say, hey, here's what we're thinking about doing every quarter. Why would you come to this? Or why would you not come to this? Like, what would make this awesome for you? Like, go do some field research, just like you want your learners to do, and figure out why a community partner would come to this, all right? But let me give you a cheat sheet, because we already know some of the things that happen. Why does a community partner want to come? Same reason they want to be in a classroom. They want to give back to schools. They want to give back to the next generation. So that's how you want to frame it. Hey, insurance salesman that's in our town, that's an important person. Hey, head of Rotary, right, that brings together all these business people. We would love for you to come into our school so we can show you the great things that we're doing and get feedback from you. We want our learners to graduate and be working for you and with you. What are the skills you need them to have? Come to our community partner breakfast. Would you give back to us and to our kids? Yes, I will. The answer is always yes. And now we have to, here, let's get into our 3 things for the perfect community partner breakfast. Because number 1 is time and place and food. So the time, I love Friday morning, right? Friday morning, Fridays in a traditional workplace is a place where things are often a little slower, right? People are wearing jeans because it's casual Friday. So if they come into your school at 8 or 9 and they're late to work, that's fine, right? They've already set that up. Hey boss, once a quarter, I'm going to be in late because I'm going to go give back to the school system. Is that okay? It's like, well, yes, it is. Or maybe you have some entrepreneurs or nonprofit leaders that, kind of control their own schedule in a lot of ways. They're happy to carve out this time. So once a quarter, Friday morning, have some breakfast, right? And have some things, like get some nice things. It doesn't have to be like a hot catered piece, right? Maybe it's donuts or bagels or something healthier. Get some fruit. If you have a great catering department, grab some San Pellegrino. People love the bubble water, right? Get them some bubble water. Go ahead and get some pop. Some people are going to drink a Coke for breakfast. We're not judging them right now, right? You might have, get some coffee. Have coffee. Don't do this without coffee. It's not perfect if you don't have coffee, right? And we're talking about the perfect community partner breakfast. So you got to have coffee. That's number 1. So time, place, and food. It's going to be once a quarter. Friday morning, have some food ready. All right. Number 2, you are going to have a few community partners that are known entities. These are people that are already giving back to your learners. Maybe they're already in your schools, or they're a voice for you, like a sounding board. If you don't have these people, you need to get a couple. Right? You need to get a couple. You need to be talking to community partners. Go to a Rotary meeting, and they're going to get to talk to 10 people that own businesses. They're interested in service, and you're going to say, hey, we're going to start a community partner breakfast. I'd like somebody as a sounding board. You're going to get that person, right? Take them out to breakfast right then. Hey, can I take you out to breakfast? It'll work, guaranteed, right? So you need a couple of known entities. You need people that are fighting for you. Let me give you an example. Ran a community partner breakfast and meeting when I was in the classroom, and we had something different. Like, sure, maybe I opened up, some of the teachers talked about what we were doing, but then we had a community partner come up, and she talked about her story in the classroom, and that blew everybody away because she actually cranked it up a notch. And Dr. Bush, who analyzes DNA for the state police department, so it's like, okay, we're all listening because your job is awesome. And she'd been in the classroom. She talked to us about DNA. She talked to us about genetics. And she started talking to community partners and said, you need to be in this classroom. You need to be investing in the next generation. If we don't do it, who's going to do it? And she gives this speech in a way that I never could as a teacher in the classroom, in a way that you can't as a principal. And you can give an inspiring speech. I am all for telling your own story. I'm all for being inspiring. But she did like a strict call to action. You need to get your name on this list, and you need to make it a priority. And she had street cred though, right? Like, she could say this because I've been in the classroom. Yeah, I have a very intense job. I work for the State Department, right, and studying DNA. And I took time out of my schedule to get in this classroom, so why don't you? And everybody was like, whoa, was that okay? But it totally was. All our community partners jumped in because it wasn't us selling our school, right? It was a community partner selling the process and the give back to our kids. So get some known entities. That's number 2, right? Number 1 was right time, right place, right food. Number 2 is get a known entity community partner that can come in and speak with you and for you. The third one, hopefully this is obvious and you knew it was coming, but it's not always. So if it's going to be perfect, then your community partners are going to hear from kids. They're going to hear from the learners themselves. And if you're going to do this as a district, which is a great way to launch this, you're going to have some elementary learners there, you're going to have some middle school learners there, you're going to have some high school learners there. And they're going to talk about some amazing things that they're doing, right? You're going to have, a kindergartner or a third grader talk, and your community partners are going to understand that they're younger kids, younger learners, and they're going to give them grace if they're not perfect. They're probably not perfect, but they're going to bring in some things, right? So as soon as I walk in as a community partner, I'm going to see some of the end products that they've created, right? I'm going to see some tangible things around the room. So maybe they went to the local zoo and they created gosh, what do you call them? The things that you give a tiger, right, to mess around with to keep the animals active. I forget the word now. I've presented on this before, right? But your kids can actually create the enhancements that go into different exhibits at the zoo, right? So those are going to be there, and it's going to be like, here's what the tiger used, here's what the ferrets used, here's what the mink used, and here's what the reptiles used. And they're going to be there, and it's going to look cool because you are looking for an experience for your community partner. Why? Because when the community partner leaves, they're going to go tell a story. They're going to tell your story, and you're going to give them all the content for the story that they're going to tell. They're going to talk about what elementary school kids do at the zoo. They're going to talk about the advocacy that your high schoolers are doing for food deserts and why it's not right in their neighborhoods and how they're interacting with politicians. They're going to go tell these important stories that you're telling. They're going to tell a story about how they were taken care of well at this community partner breakfast. And now, just like you had Dr. Bush, a community partner, telling your story, now you have all these community partners telling your story to people at the soccer game, to people that they're working at the insurance, at their insurance place, right? All these stories are being told, and you're not telling them, other people are telling them. They're now saying good things behind your back. Wouldn't that be nice for a change? But you have to give them the stories and the experience. So let me give you a bonus. So I gave you 3. Number 1, find the right time, the right place, the right food. Number 2, have some known entities. Have some people in there that you know are going to interact and be excited to be there. Number 3, you're going to show them kids. You're going to create an experience. The bonus one is you're going to prepare the kids for this. This is going to be a presentation for them. And what do? We practice for presentations, right? They're going to practice what they're going to say. You're not going to send them in cold. Please don't do that. They're awesome, but they'll freeze. They won't be as great as they could be. You don't have to tell them exactly what to say, but they need to practice so they don't freeze when they get there, right? You're going to tell them why it's important. You're going to tell them why people are there. You're going to give these kids a free breakfast. They're going to be fired up about it, right? They get to miss first period because they're going to go eat food and talk to people. It's going to make them feel really important, so they're going to dress up. They're going to practice. And you're not going to have all the perfect kids there, right? You're going to have a representation of your school district. And once all the kids leave, if you want, I've got one district that does this. Others do as well, but I have one that specifically does this. After all the kids leave, they'll look at the community partners and say, which of those learners has a special ed designation? And they'll look around and say, well, I don't know. They all spoke really intelligently. Exactly. We're reaching all of our learners. At every level, that's what project-based learning does. We're differentiating, we're doing workshops, kids are learning, growth is happening. That's what happens with project-based learning. That's why we have you here. We need you to bring the authenticity so that our learners get fired up and that they learn these real-world skills that you have and you want our learners to have. If you would you sign up on this sign-up sheet? And this quarter, as projects come up, we're going to reach out to you to see where you can be an authentic audience for our learners when they're presenting. We're going to reach out to you to see if you can come and teach a workshop based on your expertise. We want to let you know the great things that are happening the next quarter so that you can jump in and you can be a part of these stories. Oh, and by the way, you'll notice there's a blank there. Who else should be here? Who else should we invite, or who else could you invite that should be at this community partner breakfast? Because you know that they care about the next generation, because they can add value to these kids. And once you do this, they're in. You've set up the experience, you've prepared your kids, you've given stories to your community partners that they never would have had otherwise. Somebody's going to tell your story, and it should be you. And now it can be you through community partners. It's incredibly powerful. This is why you need to have the perfect community partner breakfast. Now, will it be perfect the first time? Probably not, right? We're always going to reflect and try to get better, but I can tell you right now that if you take these 3 steps plus the bonus, you are going to be real close to a perfect community partner breakfast. And as you do this as a district, you're going to start to build out your community partner list. As you have needs, you can reach out and say, hey, we could really use a biologist for this. Does anybody know anybody? And now you're leveraging this network that you've created of people in your town surrounding you that care about your school and see it as a positive place, and they're telling positive stories. Doesn't that sound awesome? Doesn't that sound awesome? And some of you are thinking, yeah, but we're a small country school, or we're in the city and there's so many schools that community partners are spread out. Can I just tell you that this works? Can I just get you to try it? Run it by a couple of community partners that you know. Run it by your brother-in-law. Run it by somebody. Say, hey, if I just invited you once a quarter, would you come to this on a Friday morning? Yes, they come. They come every single time, all right? It will work for you. You'll have community partners coming out of the woodworks that you didn't even know existed or that could come and help you. It's going to be fantastic. It's good for your teachers. It's good for your administrators. It's great for your kids. Everybody wins because it's like, why are we doing this? Well, because we're doing something that's really important. It's important for you in the school. It's important for our community. It's a big deal, the work that you're doing in school. I mean, it just goes through the roof, right? So start this early. If you're listening and you're like a PBL jumpstart, like you just did your first one, you can still do a community partner breakfast. Tell people, we just started. Look at the stuff we've already got. We're excited to see where we're going. We really need you on the bus with us. Just be real open and transparent. People will jump in. So figure out how to run your community partner breakfast, right? Go out and do this. If you need some help, please reach out. We'd be happy to help you. Remember, we've got the in-person conference coming up. We can absolutely set up a piece for you to get your community partner breakfast set up. We could actually do it in the virtual as well, just make it a need to know. Or again, you can just reach out individually. We'd be happy to help you do this. These are game changers for your school and your district. So get out there and do it. This is how you start a movement. It's not just you as the leader pulling people along. You need to build momentum. That means in your school and outside of your school. You can do this, and as you do it, your vision just starts getting pushed along, and you're not pulling anymore, and you're starting to see momentum. You're starting to see things fall into place, and it's absolutely amazing. I'm excited to hear about your community partner win. Make sure that you go to pblshare.com, and share your community partner breakfast win with me, and I'll share it here on the podcast. Until then, go out and lead inspired.